So which group would like to share what you have discussed in this past 15 minutes of discussion group? So Kim, I'll give you, you have your mic.
Okay, so our group was talking about elements related to shared responsibility and decision making, as we saw in the play. So Alex, thinks his mom packs too much food. He doesn't have time to fit his lunch in. He doesn't want to go to the nurse's office to take enzymes. We remember the pillbox. He's frustrated with her for tampering with his pillbox. Why doesn't she trust that he'll take what he's supposed to? About the new pill, he never agreed to that new pill. He doesn't even know about it. It was a complicated treatment. He hasn't taken it. But then at the end, he does say, I can do this. I just need you to trust me. So he wants the opportunity. So we talked about what does that really look like? So we looked at 3 questions. What can Alex do to make mom feel more reassured? Okay. So for increased reassurance, and I'll stand here. So we talked about active listening and active participation. So really encouraging in clinic visits, at home, in the hospital, during hospital admissions, to increase participation. Let your child directly answer. Also having this was a great idea that you shared about shared responsibility was kind of the key, about both the parent and the child having their own medication list. So when it's brought to clinic, for example, and updates or changes are made, both mom and dad and the patient are updating their own lists. So, but the child really feels like, oh, I have my own list. I'm doing this on my own. Parents are still watching kind of from the sidelines, but he does have his own list. So he feels like more reassured that that his parents trust him some more. So that's shared responsibility. And then eventually when the patient's ready, or when the child's ready, mom and dad won't need to bring in their list. When he's 18, he'll be coming to visits on his own with his own list because he's been practicing this for 3, 4, 5 years. Another question we looked at is, how can the family involve the medical team to help with this? So the parents are on board. Now we need the medical team on board. So increased communication and involvement. We talked about encouraging the team to speak directly to the patient. And I was using the example, sometimes I'll do this, so how's Javier doing? Is he doing okay? He's doing good? It's like, he's sitting right next to me. Why don't you ask him? So sometimes we have the tendency, if we have mom and dad in the room and the patient, and we're asking the patient a question, we look at mom and dad. I do that all the time. So it's having the parent step in and say, I don't know, why don't you ask him? Why don't you ask Javier? He's sitting right here. And encouraging and facilitating that communication. Also, we talked about a couple electronic ways to increase communication. Emailing the team, we encourage patients, if they're like 15 and older, to do that. Or even text messaging, using text messaging possibly as a way to communicate with providers, with the medical team. Patients are doing that anyway with their friends. It's just an easy way to communicate. It feels natural. So if that's something we can look into. So emailing, text messaging the team. And then finally, the last question we looked at, how can this family work with school to help Alex and his mom? So involving the school counselor, ensuring that there's a 504 accommodation plan where the nurse would be involved. It sounds like maybe he's not going to the nurse to get his enzymes. Hopefully the nurse would call the family and say, we haven't seen Alex in a week. He hasn't been taking his enzymes. What's going on? We need to follow up on that. Also, we try to help generate communication simply from a letter stating if the child's new at school or has new teachers. That goes directly to the medical team, or that's from the medical team and doctor to the teachers and the school counselor, so they can understand more about CF. And then finally, one suggestion we have for this family to share for shared responsibility and improving overall adherence is just not only encouraging, but actually allowing the child to participate. So it's one thing to think, no, I would like him to participate. I'm behind that. I encourage that. But to actually physically allowing him to participate in his treatment.
Perfect. So let's move on to our group 2, Liz Fillmore. I would like to just have a mic for her. So Liz, why don't you share with all of us?
We had the
We're
communication.
gonna have to mic you. This as well. This is for the online. This is for here.
That's for internet.
Okay,
Go ahead.
So we had communication and family relationships, and they were talking about all in the play where, you know, the siblings were jabbing at each other and jabbing at mom about, you know, what she's saying, and that the sister was not getting any of her needs met because of what the patient needed. So we talked about what we thought about that family's communication, and some of the things that came up in ways of supporting that was that everyone in the family participates in the treatment. So everyone comes around when it's time to do treatments. They all play video games or they all play a board game, and everybody gets involved in the patient's care, and that allows it to have the priority in the family that it needs to have. We also talked about the parents, if there are two parents, again, being on the same page, like Dr. Bava said, that both parents have to understand and buy into the need for the treatment to be prioritized and have an idea of what the plan is for that, so that the patient or the siblings don't have a way to wiggle out, and everybody's working together. And then the motivation and support between the siblings and friends, that friends come in, hang out, they're part of this situation as well. Everybody can work on the treatment together. Everybody can be reminding of the needs for care. And then, Whitney, I'm not sure what you wrote here. Oh, I remember now. Okay, so basically, we asked little Alex what helps him to want to do his treatment, and we talked about what his treatments allow him to do, focusing on when you do your treatments, you're able to do this and that, and that he mentioned that he's reminded that other kids have it worse than him sometimes, and that when he does his treatments, he can go to school, he can go to soccer practice, he can do all these things, and if he doesn't, then maybe those wouldn't be things he would be able to do physically. So that helps him to be motivated. And then we talked with Alex's actual sister, who has said that she's been able to vent her needs, and that her parents have given her special time for herself to kind of weigh in against all the time that's spent on his care, and that she communicates directly with him, and that really helps her to have more compassion and understanding for the care that he does have to do, and that sometimes does take precedence over her schedule. But again, that it all can be incorporated, and that it all comes down to the communication within the family.
It takes a village, I guess, and it's, you know, making sure that the sibling is included. I think these are extremely, and how does this affect me, my daily life? You know, I can do things if I feel better. So I think those are great points. So group one.
We had a wonderful discussion with this group on elements relating to communication and establishing routines. We talk about how important routines are. And so we had different situations in the group that they could relate, some routines that were working, some routines that were not working, and they came out with great suggestions for this family and other families. For example, treatment need to be at a consistent time. And another important thing that came out that not necessarily one can think about is gender impacting that treatment time. Because for one family, a boy has no problem doing the treatment in the morning, but a girl might have a problem doing the treatment in the morning because they want to take care of their hair and their makeup. So morning is not suggesting. So this issue of negotiating with the teenager, what is a better time for them? Because maybe we can choose medical providers, or parents can choose do it in the morning, but that doesn't really work. So that was a great one. Given choices goes into that. Okay, maybe there can be a negotiation that, okay, you don't want to do it in the morning. What other time will be better for you? And if those, and then if that doesn't work, what other choices do we have? And then we went into things that when trying to establish a routine does not work. So some of the things that were suggested because it can be hard, or maybe the plan doesn't work as well. We say the afternoon, but they're not doing it, or they're hungry, like Alex. So remaining calm and not engaging in the power struggle. And if the parent engaged the teenager in the discussion to begin with, they can remind the teenager that this was agreed upon. So that is really good to make the teenager accountable and not making it your own. And also kind of telling them if they're saying they cannot do it or this is getting on the way, kind of restating back what they say. So also to increase ownership. So what you're saying is that you're not going to do the treatment instead of you providing the solution. Okay, you're going to do it at 4. No, 4 doesn't really work for me. Well, you're going to do it at 5. So not doing that from the parent, but continue this dialogue in seeing what gets on the way. And also a big part was to take these difficulties to the medical team and see maybe the medical team has another suggestion because maybe there was another patient struggling with the same or another family and you can help them be part of the solution. And then we also talk about how sometimes the parents are trying to do something at home, but it's important to involve the medical team and not to do the things that we are teaching the parents not to do, like nagging, like not engaging the child in the discussion, not having a real plan. So advocating for your child as well. But always communicate the 3 ways, your child, the medical team, and the adult in the house.
I think those are great points, and I really appreciate your participation on these discussion points. And yeah, keeping it consistent, bringing these issues to the visit so we can help you through this. Yeah, we've been doing this for a while. We do have, we're building up our experience with dealing with this issue, so it's extremely important to ask for help and communicate. And finding a neutral time, I think the struggle, you don't want to have that at home. You do not want to struggle with choices. There are things that are non-negotiable. And setting the schedule, I think that's something you can work on when you find that neutral time tomorrow at home.